Revolution, Episode 4, Untold Edition. In the 1770s, the British colonies in America fought a revolution against King George and the tyranny of the British Empire. During that revolution, we saw what became known as the Black Robe Church. The Black Robe Church, or Black Robe Regiment, was formerly known as the 8th Virginia Brigade. Lutheran pastor Peter Muhlenberg preached his Sunday morning message early in the year 1776 from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. Toward the end of his sermon, he explained from the scripture text that God had ordained a time to every purpose under heaven. In verse 8 of that chapter, it reads, "A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace." He told his congregation that the time to preach and pray had passed away. Then he ripped open his black clergy robe to reveal a military uniform beneath. He declared that there is a time to fight, and that time is now. As he marched to the front of the church, he pleaded, "Who among you is with me?" 300 men from his congregation joined him that day. They became the 8th Virginia Regiment. We see the same dynamic developing in the main story this week, where Pastor Sharps pledges his support to Carl Fairley and the group engaging the military for control of the region and government. In future episodes, we will see the commitment of the church to the cause of freedom deepen. This nation was birthed by men and women with moral values, Christian men and women who reverenced and worshiped the God of the Bible. They formed a nation based on these values, a republic, to allow those moral men and women to fully and completely govern themselves. To keep and maintain that republic has been a daunting and at times overwhelming responsibility. In the modern day and age, it is hard for most people to understand that the rights listed in the Declaration of Independence were no more than a list of sermon topics that had been preached from pulpits throughout the colonies for decades prior to the Revolution. However, that is exactly what they were. Information material for this podcast can be found at www.nationalblackroberegiment.com and at www.blackrobereg.org. Thank you all for tuning in. Please consider following me on Patreon for full access to the Untold story editions, as well as other value-added content. Links for all are included in the description section of this podcast. God bless you.